Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to English in Fluency. I'm Alex, and I'm so happy to have you with me today. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you've spent years studying English. You've memorized grammar rules. You've downloaded vocabulary apps. You've watched countless videos. And you have a neat collection of certificates that say you are at an intermediate level. You feel prepared. You feel ready. Then you step into a real situation. Maybe you're traveling and you need to ask for directions. Maybe a friendly stranger in a coffee shop asks you about your day. Or maybe you're in your first work meeting with a team of native speakers. Suddenly, all that knowledge you stored in your brain feels like a library with no librarian. The words are in there, somewhere, but you can't find them. Your mouth feels dry. Your mind, which was so full of rules and lists a moment ago, goes completely blank. The person is waiting for you to speak, and all you can do is offer a nervous smile and a few broken words. The gap between what you know and what you can do feels like a giant canyon. If this feeling, this deep, frustrating disconnect between studying and using English, sounds familiar, then I want you to know that this episode is dedicated to you. Today, we're not going to study English. We are going to talk about how to live in it. We're going to explore why the most important moments of learning don't happen in a classroom, but in the messy, unpredictable, and wonderful real world. I'm going to share with you a story and a powerful set of strategies that will help you turn every real-life situation into an opportunity for growth, transforming you from a passive student into an active, confident user of English. Stay with me, because this shift in perspective has the power to change everything. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, a truly gifted artist from Argentina named Mateo. Mateo was a master of visual storytelling. His illustrations were full of life, emotion, and incredible detail. When he was offered a dream job at an animation studio in Canada, he was ecstatic. He had been studying English for years. His reading skills were phenomenal. He could understand complex articles about art history and animation theory. His listening skills were decent too. He could follow movies and podcasts as long as he had a day or two to process them. On paper, his English was solid. But the reality of living and working in Toronto was a different story. His new colleagues were friendly and welcoming. They would invite him to lunch, ask for his opinions in brainstorming sessions, and try to include him in their jokes. But Mateo found himself trapped behind a wall of his own creation. At lunch, he would sit silently, trying to follow the rapid-fire conversation, full of slang and cultural references he didn't understand. He would spend so much energy just trying to keep up that he had no mental space left to form his own sentences. In meetings, he had brilliant ideas. He could see the scenes they were discussing in his head, frame by frame, but the words to describe his vision would get stuck in his throat. He was terrified of making a grammar mistake, of using the wrong word, of his accent being too thick. He worried that he would sound unintelligent, that he would not be able to express the complexity of his thoughts. So, he would say nothing. He would just nod, smile, and agree. The artist who could create entire worlds on paper became a quiet, one-dimensional figure in the office. His frustration grew into a constant, heavy weight. He wasn't just failing to communicate, he was failing to be himself. The witty, passionate, and creative person his friends and family knew in Spanish was completely invisible in English. He was living in a state of language shock, where the person he was and the person he could present to the world were two different people. His English knowledge was like a beautiful, expensive car that he kept locked in a garage but was too afraid to drive. Mateo's problem wasn't a lack of knowledge. He had plenty of that. His problem was a crisis of confidence and a complete lack of real-world practice. His learning had been entirely theoretical, focused on input and memorization. He had built a massive database of information, but he hadn't developed the muscle memory of using it. He was like a swimmer who had only ever read books about swimming. He knew the theory of buoyancy and the mechanics of a perfect stroke, but he had never actually jumped into the water. One afternoon, feeling particularly defeated after a meeting where he had wanted to contribute but couldn't, he met up with a colleague, a storyboard artist named Sarah. Sarah was a kind and perceptive person, and she had noticed Mateo's struggle. She listened patiently as he explained his frustration, his feeling of being trapped in his own head. He confessed that he spent his evenings studying even more grammar, trying to memorize more vocabulary, hoping that if he just knew enough, the words would finally come out. Sarah listened, and then she said something that would become a turning point for him. "Mateo," she said gently, "I don't think you need to study more. I think you need to play more. You're treating English like an exam. It's not. It's a tool. It's a toy. It's a bridge. You need to stop being a student and start being an explorer." Mateo was confused. "An explorer? What do you mean?" Sarah smiled. "I mean, we're going to turn the city into your real-life classroom. We're going to give you small, low-stakes missions. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is just to do it, to use the English you already have, and to see what happens. The real learning doesn't start until you start using it." This conversation was the beginning of a profound shift in Mateo's approach to learning. Sarah became his unofficial mission commander. She understood a fundamental truth about language acquisition. Active use is infinitely more powerful than passive learning. It's the difference between looking at a map and actually walking the path. The brain doesn't truly learn and retain language just by absorbing it. It learns by retrieving it, by using it to accomplish a goal. This process of active retrieval strengthens neural pathways, making the language more accessible, more automatic, and more a part of you. Sarah's plan was to create a series of small, manageable, real-world missions for Mateo, designed to get him out of his head and into the world, using English in authentic, low-pressure situations. The first mission seemed almost ridiculously simple. Sarah said, "Tomorrow morning, when you go to the coffee shop, your mission is not just to order your usual black coffee. Your mission is to ask the barista a question. It can be any question. Ask them what their favorite drink is. Ask them if they recommend the banana bread. Ask them what kind of coffee beans they use. The coffee is not the point. The question is the point." For most people, this would be a trivial task. For Mateo, it felt like climbing a mountain. He spent the entire night thinking about it, his heart pounding. What if the barista was busy? What if they didn't understand his accent? What if his question was stupid? He was filled with the familiar dread. He almost decided not to do it, to just point at the menu like he sometimes did. But Sarah's words echoed in his mind. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is just to do it. The next morning, Mateo walked into the small, cozy coffee shop near his apartment. The bell on the door chimed, and the familiar, comforting smell of roasted coffee filled the air. There was only one other customer. The barista, a young woman with bright pink hair, smiled at him. "Morning. What can I get for you?" Mateo's heart was hammering against his ribs. His mind went blank, just as it always did. The simple, safe phrase, "A black coffee, please," was right there, a comfortable refuge. But he took a deep breath, clutching the imaginary mission brief from Sarah in his mind. He looked at the glass case filled with pastries. He forced his mouth to move. "Hello? Everything looks good?" He started, his voice a little shaky. The barista smiled, waiting. This was it, the moment of truth. I want to try something new." What do you recommend?" The words came out, a little clumsy, a little hesitant, but they were out. The barista's smile widened. She didn't look annoyed. She didn't look confused. She looked pleased. "Oh, awesome," she said with genuine enthusiasm. "Well, our almond croissant is amazing. People love it. But my personal favorite is the cinnamon roll. We make them here every morning. It's super soft and gooey." Mateo was so relieved by her positive reaction that he almost forgot to listen. But he focused, catching the key words. Almond croissant, cinnamon roll, personal favorite. He had successfully launched a real conversation. Now he had to land it. "Okay," he said, feeling a small surge of confidence. "I will try the cinnamon roll." "Great choice," she said, grabbing the pastry with a pair of tongs. "And a coffee with that?" "Yes, a black coffee, please." As she prepared his order, he felt a warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the coffee. It was the warmth of a tiny victory. He had done it. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't elegant. But he had stepped out of the safety of his passive knowledge and used his English to connect with another human being, to accomplish a small mission. When he walked out of the coffee shop, holding the warm pastry and the hot coffee, he felt different. He felt a little taller, a little more capable. It was just one small question, one tiny interaction, but it wasn't theoretical. It was real. And that one real experience was worth more than 100 hours of studying vocabulary lists. It was the first time he had truly driven the car out of the garage. This small victory became the foundation for everything that followed. Mateo had discovered a secret. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. We often think that we need to feel confident before we can speak. But the truth is, we must speak in order to feel confident. That single, successful interaction in the coffee shop created a positive feedback loop in his brain. It provided a concrete, lived experience that countered his fears. His fear whispered, "People will be impatient with you." His experience answered, "That barista was really friendly and helpful." His fear whispered, "They won't understand your accent." His experience answered, "She understood me perfectly." This is the power of real-world practice. It's not just about practicing the language. It's about gathering evidence. It's about proving to yourself, one small interaction at a time, that your fears are often exaggerated and that people are generally much kinder and more patient than you imagine. Your brain is a prediction machine. If you only ever study and never speak, you are feeding your brain with imagined negative outcomes. But when you step out and have even a small positive interaction, you are giving your brain real, positive data to work with. You are recalibrating its predictions from "this is dangerous" to "this is safe and rewarding. Energized by his success, Mateo was ready for his next mission from Sarah. She called it the benign inquiry. His task was to go into a store and ask for help finding something he didn't actually need. The purpose was purely to practice the interaction. Sarah suggested a bookstore. "Go into a big bookstore," she instructed, "and ask someone who works there where the travel section is. Even if you see the sign for it, ask anyway. Your goal is the conversation, not the books." This mission was a step up. It required him to approach someone, interrupt them, and ask a direct question. Again, the old fears surfaced. But this time, he had the memory of the cinnamon roll to give him strength. He walked into a large, multi-level bookstore. It was busy, with people browsing quietly. He saw a staff member arranging books on a shelf, a young man with glasses. Mateo's palms began to sweat. He rehearsed the sentence in his head. "Excuse me, can you tell me where the travel section is?" He walked over, his footsteps feeling unnaturally loud. "Excuse me," he said. The young man turned around. "Hi there. How can I help?" "Hi, I am looking for the travel section," Mateo said, phrasing it like a question. "Of course," the staff member replied. "It's just over there, on the second floor. Take the escalator, turn right, and it's the second aisle on your left. You can't miss it." The instructions were fast. Mateo caught second floor and turn right, but he missed the last part. In the past, he would have just panicked, nodded, said, "Thank you," and walked away, pretending he understood. But this was a mission. His goal was the interaction itself. So he engaged phase 2 of the mission, the follow-up clarification. "I'm sorry, a little fast for me," he said, with a self-deprecating smile. "Second floor, turn right, and what was the last part?" The young man's expression softened. "Oh, sorry about that," he said, speaking more slowly this time. "No problem. Go up the escalator, turn right, and it's the second aisle on your left. It has a big blue sign that says Travel and World Cultures. Second aisle on the left." "Okay, great. Thank you so much," Mateo said, feeling a genuine sense of gratitude. "You're very welcome. Let me know if you need anything else." Mateo walked towards the escalator, not because he wanted to see the travel section, but because he was celebrating another victory. He had not only initiated a conversation, but he had also managed a point of breakdown. He had admitted he didn't understand, and the world didn't end. The person didn't laugh at him. Instead, they helped him. They adapted to his needs. This was a revelation. He was learning that a conversation is a dance, a collaboration. It's not a solo performance where he is being judged. By asking for clarification, he wasn't failing. He was actively managing the conversation. He was being a good dance partner. These missions continued and grew in complexity. Sarah was a brilliant coach, always designing tasks that were just slightly outside Mateo's comfort zone, but never overwhelming. There was the compliment mission, where his task was to give a genuine, simple compliment to someone. He complimented a cashier on her interesting glasses. She beamed and told him where she got them. It was a tiny, 30-second interaction that left both of them feeling good. It taught him that using English wasn't just about transactions. It was about creating moments of positive human connection. Then there was the opinion mission. He had to go to a farmer's market, pick up 2 different kinds of apples, and ask the vendor, "Excuse me, which one is sweeter?" This simple question opened up a 5-minute conversation about apple varieties, where they were grown, and what they were best for. The vendor was passionate about his produce, and Mateo learned new words like tart, crisp, and juicy in the most natural, memorable way possible. He didn't have to memorize them from a list. He learned them while holding the apples in his hand, smelling their fresh scent. The words were tied to a sensory experience, which made them stick in his brain like glue. This is a key principle of real-world learning. Context is a supercharger for memory. When you learn a word in a real situation, your brain doesn't just record the word's definition, it records the entire context, the place, the person you were talking to, the sights, the sounds, the smells, even the emotions you were feeling. This rich, multi-layered memory is far more durable and easier to retrieve than a word learned from a flashcard. The biggest and most transformative mission was what Sarah called the hobby mission. She knew Mateo was a brilliant artist. "Your art is your superpower, Mateo," she told him. "It's a language you already speak fluently. You need to put yourself in a situation where you can use that superpower." She found a local community art group that met every Wednesday evening in a nearby studio for a sketch and chat session. People would bring their own projects and just draw together. The idea terrified Mateo. It meant spending 2 hours with a group of native speakers, but the context was perfect. The primary focus wasn't talking, it was drawing. The art provided a shared activity, a natural reason for being there that took the pressure off his language skills. His first session was nerve-wracking. He set up his sketchbook in a quiet corner, his head down, focusing intensely on his drawing. For the first hour, he said nothing. But he listened. He absorbed the rhythm of their conversation, the casual way they joked and shared stories while their hands were busy. Then, a woman named Chloe, who was sitting across from him, leaned over. "Wow, that's incredible," she said, looking at his sketch of a fantastical creature. "What is that?" Mateo's heart jumped. This wasn't a cashier or a barista. This was a peer, an artist. He wanted to explain the whole story behind the creature, its origins in Argentinian folklore, its symbolic meaning. But the words were too complex. The library in his brain was in chaos. So he started simple. He used the English he had, not the English he wished he had. "It's a creature from a legend in my country," he said slowly. "It protects the forest." Chloe was fascinated. "That's so cool. It looks so powerful. What's its name?" Mateo told her the name. Another person joined in, asking about his drawing technique. The conversation was slow and simple, and it was mostly about the drawing in front of them. The drawing was the bridge. It allowed him to communicate his passion and skill without needing perfect grammar. Over the next few weeks, Mateo became a regular at the sketch and chat. He was still the quietest member of the group, but he was no longer silent. He learned that in a social setting like this, conversation wasn't a test. It was like a game of catch. Someone gently tosses you a question. You catch it, and you toss a simple answer back. Then you toss a question of your own. He started with simple questions related to the shared activity. "What kind of pencil is that?" "I love that color." "What's it called?" These were easy, safe questions, but they were the beginning of true connection. He was learning the grammar of conversation, the turn-taking, the rhythm of listening and speaking. Through this art group, Mateo didn't just practice English. He started to build a community. He began to feel like a part of the city, not just a visitor. he started to show his personality, his humor, his passion, his kindness, through his interactions. The English Mateo and the Spanish Mateo were slowly starting to merge. He even found himself in a brainstorming session at work one day, and when the team was stuck on a visual concept, he found the courage to speak. He didn't have the perfect corporate jargon. He didn't have the flawless sentence structure, but he had his sketchbook. He said, "Wait, I have an idea. It's hard to say. Can I show you?" And he quickly sketched out his concept on the whiteboard. The room went quiet, and then his creative director said, "Mateo, that's brilliant." In that moment, he realized that communication is about more than just words. It's about connection. It's about using every tool you have, your voice, your hands, your smile, your art, to bridge the gap between your mind and another person's. The goal isn't just to speak English, but to be understood in English. And he was finally being understood. Mateo's story is a powerful illustration of a simple but profound truth. Learning happens when you use it. You can spend a lifetime accumulating knowledge, but until you apply it, it remains inert and theoretical. Every time you choose to use your English in the real world, no matter how small or imperfectly, you are doing something incredibly important. You are turning on the lights in the library of your mind. You are teaching your brain how to find the words, how to build the sentences, and how to connect them to real meaning. Let's break down why this mission-based approach is so effective. First, it reframes the entire experience. It shifts the goal from speak English perfectly to accomplish a small, concrete task. When the goal is to ask the barista a question, you can succeed at that, even if your grammar isn't perfect. This creates a cycle of success and builds momentum. Success breeds confidence, and confidence encourages you to take on the next, slightly bigger challenge. Second, it systematically desensitizes you to the fear of speaking. Fear is like an allergy. The more you avoid the thing you're afraid of, the more powerful the allergic reaction becomes when you are exposed to it. By exposing yourself to speaking in small, controlled, low-stakes doses, you are teaching your nervous system that it's not a threat. The first time you ask for directions is terrifying. The 10th time, it's just a normal part of your day. Third, as we saw with Mateo at the market, it anchors language in rich, multisensory experiences. This is how we learn our native language as children. We don't learn the word apple from a book. We learn it by seeing, touching, smelling, and tasting an apple. Real-world situations provide this essential context, making vocabulary and grammar much more memorable and meaningful. Finally, it teaches you the most important skill of all, communicative competence. This is the ability to get your message across effectively, even with limited linguistic resources. It's about learning how to use strategies to manage a conversation, how to ask for clarification, how to rephrase your thoughts, how to use gestures, how to recover from a mistake. These are skills you can only learn by doing. So, how can you become an explorer like Mateo? How can you turn your own town or city into your personal language laboratory? I want to give you a practical, step-by-step guide, a real-world English toolkit to help you create and execute your own learning missions. Think of yourself as a secret agent of language learning. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to use English to interact with the world. Let's start with Mission Category 1. The micro-interaction. These are short, simple, transactional conversations. They are the perfect place to start because they have a clear script and a low time commitment. Your goal here is to add one extra conversational turn to the interaction. Let's practice planning 1. Your mission is to buy a train ticket. The basic passive interaction is, "One ticket to downtown, please." "That will be $3. Thank you." Mission complete, but no real learning happened. Now, let's upgrade it to a real-world mission. Your new goal is to add one question. Before you buy the ticket, you could ask the person in the booth, "Excuse me, does this train go to the Central Art Gallery?" Or, after you buy the ticket, you could ask, "Sorry, one more question. Which platform is it for this train?" Let's practice this together, right now. Imagine you are at the ticket counter. You have your money ready. I am the person in the booth. I say, "Hi there, how can I help you?" "What's your question?" Say it out loud. Maybe you say, "Hi, I need to get to the airport. Is this the right train for that?" I would reply, "No, the airport train is the express line on platform 4. Look at that. By asking one simple question, you avoided getting on the wrong train, and you had a successful, useful conversation. You just succeeded in your mission. Here are some other micro-interaction missions for you to try. The coffee shop +1. Just like Mateo, don't just order your drink. Ask a question. Practice it now. "Hi, what's the difference between a latte and a cappuccino?" Or, "Do you have any non-dairy milk options?" The grocery store inquiry. When you're buying fruit or vegetables, ask the staff a question. Practice now. "Excuse me, are these avocados ripe?" Or, "Which of these tomatoes would be best for a salad?" The retail compliment. When you're buying clothes or something from a shop, find something genuine to compliment the cashier on. Practice now. "I love your earrings. They're so unique." Or, "Thank you for your help. You've been so patient." This builds your social language skills. The key with these micro-interactions is to see them as a game. Your goal is to collect successful conversations, like points. Each one, no matter how small, is a win. Now, for mission category 2, the information quest. These missions are a little longer. Your primary goal is to get information or instructions. This is a fantastic way to practice your listening skills and your ability to ask clarifying questions. Mateo's bookstore mission was a perfect example of this. Let's prepare for one now. Your mission is to go to a tourist information center in your own city and ask for a map. Of course, you can probably see the maps on the counter, but that's not the point. The interaction is the point. You approach the desk. The person says, "Hello, how can I help you?" You say, "Hello, I was wondering if you could give me a map of the downtown area." They will say, "Of course," and hand you a map. Mission accomplished. But we can do better. Let's upgrade the mission. Your real goal is to ask for a recommendation. You say, "Thank you for the map. I only have a few hours this afternoon. Is there one thing you would recommend I see?" Now you have started a real conversation. The person might ask you what you're interested in: art, history, shopping. You will have to listen and respond. Let's practice the clarification part. Imagine the person says, "You should definitely check out the Old Market District. Just go down this street for 3 blocks and hang a left on Palmerston Avenue." The instructions were a bit fast. What do you say? Practice it out loud. You could say, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch the street name. Hang a left on..." Where? They will repeat it, probably more slowly. Palmerston Avenue. You can even confirm Palmerston. Got it. Thank you. This is a successful mission. You practiced initiating, listening, and clarifying. Here are some other Information Quest missions. The Librarian Challenge. Go to your local library and ask the librarian for a recommendation. Don't just ask where a book is. Say something like, "Hi, I really enjoyed this author. Can you recommend another author who writes in a similar style?" The Park Ranger Inquiry. Go to a local park and find a map or information board. Then your mission is to find a park employee or a local and ask a question about it. For example, "Excuse me, I see this trail on the map. How long does it usually take to walk?" The Technology Help Desk. Go into an electronics store. Find a product you are interested in, like a pair of headphones. Your mission is to ask a salesperson a question that you probably could find the answer to online. For example, "Hi, I see these headphones are wireless. What's the battery life like on them?" Or, "Can you tell me if these are noise canceling?" The goal is to get comfortable asking technical questions and understanding the answers. Finally, we have Mission Category 3, the social connection. These are the most challenging, but also the most rewarding missions. The goal is not a transaction or information, but connection. This is what Mateo found in his art group. The key is to find a context where there is a shared activity or interest. This shared focus acts as a social lubricant, making conversation easier and more natural. The pressure is off you, because everyone's attention is on the activity. Let's think about your own life and your own hobbies. What do you love to do? Do you like sports, board games, books, hiking, cooking, photography? I can almost guarantee that there is a local group or club in your area dedicated to that hobby. Your mission is to find one. You don't even have to go at first. Your initial mission is just to do the research. Go online and search for your hobby club in your city. Find their website or social media page. Read about them in English. This is a safe, preparatory step. The next step is to attend a meeting or event. This is the big boss level of your training, but you are ready for it. Remember Mateo's first art session. He didn't talk for an hour. That is perfectly okay. Your first goal is just to show up, be present, and get comfortable in the space. Your second goal is to have one simple interaction related to the shared activity. Let's practice. Imagine you've joined a board game club. People are setting up a game. You can turn to the person next to you and ask, "Have you played this game before?" Say it out loud. "Have you played this game before?" If they say yes, you can ask, "Is it fun?" If they say no, you can say, "Me neither. I'm excited to learn." Just like that, you have made a connection. You are no longer a stranger. You are two people about to share an experience. Finding a hobby group is the #1 secret to making friends and integrating into a new culture. It moves you from being a language learner to just being a person who happens to be learning a language while doing something they love. It takes the focus off your mistakes and puts it on your passion. Your passion will shine through even imperfect English, and it will attract like-minded people to you. So, your call to action today, your grand mission, is to become an architect of your own learning journey, just like Sarah was for Mateo. I want you to design your first, tiny, real-world mission. I'm going to give you a 7-day challenge to get you started. This is your Real-World English Launcher program. Your mission begins now. Here is your 7-day plan. Day 1. The coffee shop +1. Tomorrow morning, your mission is to go to a cafe and not just order a drink, but ask one simple question. It can be a recommendation, a question about an ingredient, anything. Your goal is simply to have that slightly longer interaction. Afterwards, I want you to take 30 seconds and just notice how you feel. Acknowledge the small act of courage. Day 2. The benign inquiry. Your mission is to go into a store, any store, and ask for the location of an item. A bookstore, a grocery store, a pharmacy. Ask for help finding something. Your only goal is the successful exchange of information. If you don't understand the directions, practice asking for clarification. Sorry, what was that last part? Day 3. The digital complement. This is an online version to build up your confidence. Find a creator you like online, a YouTuber, an artist on Instagram, a writer. Your mission is to leave a comment in English. Not just nice video, but something specific. For example, this was so helpful. I especially liked the part where you explained X. Thank you for making this. It's a low-risk way to practice expressing a specific opinion. Day 4. The direction confirmation. Go for a walk in your neighborhood. Find a stranger who doesn't look like they are in a hurry, and ask for directions to a place you already know how to get to. A nearby park, a post office, a supermarket. The goal isn't the directions. The goal is to listen carefully, and then, at the end, confirm them. For example, okay, so I go straight for 2 blocks, and it's on the right, next to the bank. Is that correct? Day 5. The hobby reconnaissance. This is a research mission. Your task is to spend 15 minutes online searching for a group or club in your area related to one of your hobbies. Find their website. Find their contact information. Find out when they meet. You don't have to go yet. You are just gathering intelligence. Day 6. The low-stakes phone call. Phone calls can be scary because you can't see the other person's face. This mission is to defang that fear. Your task is to call a local business, a restaurant, a store, a cinema, and ask one simple question. For example, call a restaurant and ask, "Hi, I was just wondering what time you close tonight?" Or call a cinema and ask, "Hello, can you tell me what time the 7 p.m. movie ends?" They will give you a short, simple answer. The goal is to survive a phone call in English. Day 7. The shared experience. This is your final mission for the week. Attend a free public event. It could be a concert in the park, a local festival, a farmer's market, or even the sketch and chat from Day 5 if you feel brave. Your mission is not to have a long conversation. Your mission is simply to be there, in an English-speaking environment, and exchange one simple, pleasant comment with a stranger. For example, at a concert, you could turn to someone and say, "They sound great, don't they?" At a market, you could say to someone looking at the same vegetables, "These look so fresh today." The goal is simply to share a small moment of human connection. This 7-day challenge is your launch pad. It will show you that you are far more capable than you think. You already have enough English to start exploring. The key is to start small, build momentum, and celebrate every tiny victory along the way. Don't wait for confidence. Create it through action. The world is not a scary place waiting to judge your English. It's a classroom waiting to teach you. It's a playground waiting for you to join the game. I would love to be your mission commander on this journey. Leave a comment below and tell me which mission from the 7-day challenge you are going to accept first. Tell me about your fears, and let's encourage each other. Share your successes with our community, so we can celebrate with you. Remember Mateo. He didn't become fluent by studying more books. He became fluent by ordering a cinnamon roll, by asking for directions, and by finding the courage to share his art with others. Your journey starts with one small step, one brave question. I'm Alex from English in Fluency. Thank you for joining me on this mission today. Now go out there and be an explorer. I'll see you in our next lesson.